Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Release.
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close. The hair high, right? Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham. Scott alongside, as always. Hello, Scott.
Sean, nice to see you.
Yeah.
It's been hot, man.
Yeah. Really hot.
And what I've learned about myself is that I get kind of cranky when it's hot. A little short, snapping a bit. It's not my favorite. Not my favorite.
No, it's not great when it's hot. Yeah, nobody feels good. Like you're sweaty and sticky, and even when you're in the air conditioning, like being in air conditioning doesn't always feel great either.
Yeah. And so a few weeks ago, Sean, maybe a month ago now, I was in Lisbon in Portugal, and I'm not one to complain. I'm very lucky I got to go to Lisbon. It's a nice city, a lot of good food, but holy crap, it was hot. And I was there for a meeting, and the meeting room was like 25 degrees.
Sure.
And that's with the air conditioning on.
Yeah.
And you're wearing suits. And anyway, I showered twice a day while I was there because it was so hot. It was just gross. But other than that, lovely time. And now we're getting to experience it here in Canada.
Yeah.
Which is, it's more humid here than it was there.
Sure.
But woof. Heat, not my favorite. Looking forward to thinking about some curling for the next little bit to keep my mind on cool things.
Yes.
The ice.
And hopefully everyone out there, because it is hot all across North America, make sure you're getting a lot of water, being safe, like in the shade, middle of the day, stay inside, don't exert yourself, like do all the things that they tell you to do when it is this level of hot. So hope everyone is staying safe out there. But maybe we'll cool down with a little curling trivia game that I've put together, Scott. Now, you and I used to play sports trivia, and it was separated out first period, second period, third period. And the first period were questions about the four major sports. Now, you can debate whether or not they're still the four major sports, but traditional. So NHL, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. Second period was a big list question. And then the third period was, what was the third period? It was sort of like,
it was a top 10 or a top
10,
12.
So, sort of thing. So I don't quite have exactly the same format, but I have stuff that the first period will be a kind of piecemeal questiony stuff. And then subsequently everything will kind of build on that with lists. So I'm very excited to get into this. I don't have necessarily a scoring system in mind. We'll see how many points it ends up being when we go through all the questions, but we'll see how this goes. You can play along at home, see if you can beat Scott in this game. You can let us know if you beat Scott. If you don't beat Scott, don't let us know, because we don't want him to get an ego. So only let us know if you beat Scott. All right, Scott, what I've done is I went through, Curling Canada has their full database available of all-time records, and this includes shooting percentage and everything, for everybody who has ever played a game in the Brier, the Scotties, the Trials, or the Canada Cup.
Nice.
So I've gone through and pulled out some information, but only for the Scotties and the Brier. So only Scotties, Brier. And they have a separation in 1980 when it goes from the McDonald's tankard or whatever it was called to the Brier. So for the men's side, it's from 1980 to today. The women's 1982 with the Scotties, because before that, they have it separated out. So it's only within the last 44 years for the men, 42 years for the women.
Perfect.
So that's what we have. And it doesn't include the Trials, doesn't include Canada Cup, doesn't include any other Curling Canada event, just the national championships.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's start with some just pure questions here.
Let's go.
All right, Scott. This is a Brier specific question.
Yep.
What is the most blank ends in one game?
Brier specific. When did they switch from 12 ends to 10 ends?
I believe this is all 10 end era, I think.
All 10 end era?
I believe so.
I think it's 8.
Okay. As a corollary to this for a bonus points.
Was I right?
Well, let's see what we get on the corollary here. The most consecutive blank ends. And I will say this happened in the same game.
Yeah, I feel like this is a Pat Ryan question where they would have blanked everything. So maybe the answer is 9, but let's say 8 and 8.
Okay, you were close. So you get 1 point for 8. 8 is the correct answer on the most number of blank ends. Most consecutive blank ends is 6. 1990 Brier, draw number 14, New Brunswick against Prince Edward Island. You want to take a guess? This isn't one of the questions. What do you think the final score of that game might have been?
I bet it's like 6-4 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. 2-1.
2-1. Yes, you're correct. New Brunswick pulls out the win over Prince Edward Island. So, Scott, you get 1 point for 8 on the most ends blanked in a Brier.
All right.
All right, Scott. Next up, again, this is Brier specific. There is one game that holds 2 Brier final records. So this one game holds the Brier record for the highest combined score in a final and the biggest comeback victory in a final. Scott, name that Brier final.
Oh man. This does sound very familiar of the biggest comeback. Is this the 2015 final with Pat Simmons throwing his broom after coming back?
It is not. No.
All right. You better give it to me then.
Scott, it is the Furby 4 giving up a 4-end lead in the 7th end or after the 7th end
to Mark Dacey.
In 2004. Final score was 10-9, Nova Scotia over Alberta. So it holds the records for the highest combined score in a final, 19 points, and the biggest comeback.
Okay. That's I should have had that one. Darn.
All right, Scott, let's go to a similar question, but on the women's side.
Okay.
This is the largest comeback in a Scotties game. Not a final, any game. Largest comeback at a Scotties. I included this because it may or may not have happened this year.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was a game this year that someone was down like 5-0 or 6-0. I want to say that Krista McCarville was involved on the losing end.
Krista McCarville did give up a comeback win this year. This is not the game, though.
This is not that. Was it? It was this year?
It was this year.
Yeah. It was not in the playoffs, though. It was just in the...
No, draw 10.
Draw 10. Okay. I'm blanking, Sean. You're going to have to help me.
All right, this is friend of the show, Carrie Galusha, over kind of friend of the show, even though she hasn't been on the show, friendly to the show, Danielle Inglis. So Danielle Inglis gets a steal of 5 in the 3rd end to go up 7-0 over Carrie Galusha. And then Carrie Galusha gets the deuce, steal of 3, steal of 1, force, steal of 1, a 3 for Carrie Galusha to tie it, and then steals the win in the 10th for a 10-9 victory.
Wow. Yeah, that's boy, Sean, how quickly we forget the great stuff.
Exactly, yeah. All right, Scott, another sort of general question here. 1 year holds the record for both the Brier and the Scotties in the most points scored. So the most points scored total in a Brier and the most points scored in a Scotties Both of those records are from the same year. Scott, name that year.
Well, I'm gonna use some logic and say that it was the year that they expanded the field to 18 teams, and I believe that was in 2021.
Scott, that is high quality logic, and that is the correct answer. Yes, 2021 holds the record for most points in a Scotties or a Brier. For a bonus point, because they're relatively close to each other. So the Scotties outscored the Brier, not surprisingly, by 60 points that year. So I'll give you a range of 150 from the center point of that. So 30 above the Brier, 30 below the Scotties one. I'll give you 150 on either side.
Okay.
For that.
So for total number or the number that I'm
the average between the two.
So there were 60 more. So let's say, how many games would they play? Oh my God. Like 20 draws, 4 games each draw. That's coming up at like 80 games. And let's say there was 6 points a game. Oh, geez. I want to say like 510.
Okay, you are not going to get the additional point. The Scotties that year, 1,217 points scored. The Brier, 1,157 points scored. So the midpoint, 1,187 of that. So no additional point there. But yeah, that's a lot more points than I would have expected too.
Yeah, Sean, I remember doing stats for this, and I probably should have known that based on digging into the numbers. So bad job by me.
All right, Scott, let's get into some player stuff. This is the last. I got 3 more questions here. Then we'll get into some of the lists. All right. Now, these are player specific.
Okay.
Scott, with a minimum of 250 shots thrown at a Brier or Scotties, this could be a man or a woman, who holds the highest combined shooting percentage? Minimum 250 shots.
What does combined mean?
So, like, draws or so because the next question is about hit percentage.
Okay, so I think, Sean, it's a lead. It's going to be a lead.
I think that's well reasoned.
Tell me if I'm right or not.
You are correct.
Okay, it's a lead, and this is either the Brier or the Scotties.
Yeah.
So for me, it's going to come down to between Don McEwen or maybe Brianne Harris, but I'll guess Don McEwen.
Okay, that's a good guess. That is incorrect. It is not Don McEwen. It is actually a man from the Brier. It is Denny Neufeld.
Denny Neufeld. Wow.
Yeah, 93% on 704 shots in his Brier career for the highest shooting percentage. Scott, I do adjust the total for this one. But I just thought it was such a funny answer that I wanted to include it. Minimum 140 shots. Highest hit percentage. Brier or Scotties. With the caveat that I think this is a very funny answer.
Now that it's funny, oh man. I think I'm overthinking this a bit. Minimum 140 shots. So it's going to be somebody that hasn't been there a million times, like a Glenn Howard or something like that. 140 shots is not very many. That's like, well,
you throw 20 a game.
Yeah, so that's like one event, less than one.
No, but this is hit specific.
Okay.
Too. So
yeah, okay. Give me Greg Smith.
Greg Smith. No, good guess though. Very good guess. That would have been funny. Scott, if you had gotten it right, I would have said that you crushed that answer.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. The crusher. Adam Spencer has the most. Or the highest shooting percentage on hits on a minimum of 140 shots at 91%.
Pretty good.
Career. Scott, now this one, I went trials specific. Who elevates their game the most at the trials? Combined shooting percentage, Canadian curling trials, minimum 500 shots.
Well, is this men's or women's?
Yeah, could be either.
Could be either. I want to say Jennifer Jones.
Is that your official answer, or is that just something you want to say?
Yeah, let's say Jennifer Jones.
All right, you are incorrect. It is not Jennifer Jones. It is a men's player. If you want to take a second guess, I'll still give you the point.
It's Gushu?
It is not. It is Mark Kennedy.
Oh, Mark Kennedy.
Mark Kennedy raises his game at the trials, 91% at the trials.
Very good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. If it hadn't been Gushu, I would have gone Nichols, and then I would have got to Kennedy and Hebert after that.
Right. All right, Scott. So that's the end of the first round. You got 3 points of a possible 9.
Pretty good.
Not bad. Some of those were pretty hard, pretty random.
Yeah, pretty random for a first round, Sean.
Yeah. All right, okay. Scott, let's get into some lists here. So let's go 5. Let's say I got a top 10 list here. Let's say you can give me 5.
Okay.
All right. Scott, Scotties or Brier, right? So this is a top 10 list across the 2 events. Top 10 individual wins, Scotties or Brier, all time.
All time? Okay. Well, give me Jennifer Jones.
That is correct. She is 3rd on the list, 177.
Glenn Howard.
Glenn Howard is 4th on the list, 164.
I'm a little surprised by that. Jill Officer.
Jill Officer, 8th on the list, 129.
I will take Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin not on the list.
Strike 1. So I get 10 guesses or 3 strikes.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with 3 strikes method here for a total of 5 points. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 5, right?
You've guessed
4.
3, and you've had 4 guesses.
Okay. Brad Gushu.
Brad Gushu is number 1 on the list, 181 wins.
Mark Nichols.
Mark Nichols, that is your 5 points, 178 wins. He is number 2 on the list. Scott, do you want to keep going?
Let's keep going. Yeah. Okay. I will take John Morris.
John Morris, not on the list.
Not on the list. Well, Sean, we've said Glenn Howard. What about Brent Lang?
Brent Lang is number 5 on the list, 146 wins.
All right, good.
So you got 4 left. The 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th spots.
6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th. I feel like Reed Carruthers might be up there.
He is not up there. That is your
all that
3rd
time with Stoughton, I thought maybe.
Strike. Yeah, no. So Scott, I don't think there's going to be, well, maybe the 9th, 10th might be a bit of a surprise. 6th place, Ben Hebert, 141. 7th place, Colleen Jones.
You know, I almost went Colleen Jones and decided not to, but
yeah,
shoot.
136 wins for her. And 9 is EJ Harnden, 124 wins. And Brother Ryan in 10th spot, 122 wins.
Okay.
Which, there you go. Of course, only not playing together for a couple of years, and EJ's got the 2 extra wins on him to this point. All right,
Scott, in the finals, I think, right?
Yeah, so you get the 5 points there, Scott. Let's move over to the loss column. Top 10 losses, individual losses, Scotties or Brier. We'll do the same thing. 3 strikes and you're out with a total possible of 5 points here.
Well, Sean, you got to be there a lot to accumulate a lot of losses, right?
Of course.
So I'm going to take Brad Gushu.
You are correct. Brad Gushu is 8th on the list, 76 losses. So he's 181 and 76. It's
76. Okay.
Pretty good.
Somebody who's there a lot and yet doesn't often win. Give me Kerry Galusha.
Kerry Galusha is 2nd on this list, 111 losses.
Then why don't I take her brother, Jamie?
Jamie Cooey, number 1 on the list, 119 losses.
I feel like James Grattan is a name coming to mind.
Wonderful guest. James Grattan is on the list. He is 5th in this list, 90 losses.
Very good. Very good. We talk about players and teams that are there all the time. Even if you're good, you're going to accumulate some losses, right?
Of course.
Is Jennifer Jones on this list?
Jennifer Jones, not on the list. No. She really only had the 1 year where she had a bad year.
Yeah.
And otherwise, really was always, 2 losses, 3 losses. So, yeah, no, she is not on those. Whereas like Gushu early in his career would have those years like 5 and 6 or 6 and 5. So yeah, he accumulated losses early in his career at a higher clip. Jennifer Jones never really had that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go back to some smaller provinces.
Okay.
And I'm gonna vote. Give me Martin Kret.
Martin Kret, no, not on the list here.
Okay, it felt to me like he was there a lot, and they had some good runs, but you're there and you're losing 5-6 games, then you can run that number up pretty high. Okay, can you recap for me where I am, Sean?
So you have 2 strikes and you have 4 correct answers. You have the number 1 answer, Jamie Cooey, number 2, Kerry Galusha, number 5, James Grattan, and number 8, Brad Gushu. So the 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th place players are still available here, but this is your last strike.
Okay, well, if Brad Gushu is on the list, he had those 2 years without Mark Nichols, where Nichols went and played for Stoughton. Is that a good way to go? I don't think that's the right strategy for me to take, Sean. So if I'm thinking about small province people who are there a lot that don't win, what about someone from Saskatchewan?
People love Saskatchewan.
People do love Saskatchewan.
Love all the other provinces too.
That's true. I'm really just stalling for time and trying to keep the podcast audio going with somebody who plays with Kerry Galusha. How about Shonda Barber?
Oh, Shonda Barber would have been a good answer. No, though, she is not on the list. That is your 3rd strike, Scott. You get 4 points there. Okay, I'll give you the number 3 one because I don't think you would have ever gotten this. Brad Choroskowski.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So he's number 3. Then next, Colleen Jones.
Yeah.
91 losses. Then James Grattan was 5th, as you said. You're on the right track for the next 2 smaller provinces. People could go repeatedly. 6th place, Suzanne Burt.
Damn.
83 losses. 7th is Heather Strong with 80. Then you had Gushu. 9th place, not surprisingly, Kim Kelly, teammate of Colleen Jones. And then in 10th, it's Mark O'Rourke with 75 losses. So
I believe he was from New Brunswick, right?
I think so. Yeah. So there you go. That's your list of the top 10 losses. 4 possible points there. Or sorry, 4 points of a possible 5. All right, Scott, I'm going to give you a choice on the next one.
Let's do it.
Do you want to do the same thing? Top 10 list. Do you want to guess top 10 games played, Scotties Brier, or top 10 shots, pure number of shots thrown? And I will say this list or these 2 lists are not the same.
Interesting. Let's go with games played.
Okay. So number of games played, Scotties and Brier. Same rules. 5 possible points and 3 strikes and you're out.
I'm going to write down my answers this time.
Okay. That's a good idea. That's a good strategy. Keep everything straight
So I
in
don't
your
forget.
head.
Yeah. Okay, I got a pad and paper here. So most games, I think the record is Carrie Galusha. That's my first guess.
Oh, well, you're wrong.
In number of games played?
Number of games played, no. She's not on this list at all.
Really?
Yeah, it's surprising.
She's been there like 19 years.
What can I say, man?
Okay, let's start again then.
Okay, we won't count that one. I'll pull this up again, just in case I miss something.
Okay, well, I mean, counting playoffs too, right? So
yes, playoffs do count in this.
Okay, so Sean, my first guess is going to be Brad Gushu.
Brad Gushu is correct. 257 games.
Then I'm going to guess Mark Nichols.
Mark Nichols, correct. Second place, 244 games.
I'm going to guess Glenn Howard.
Glenn Howard, yes. Fourth place, 227 games.
I'm going to guess Jennifer Jones.
Jennifer Jones is in third place at 237 games.
All right. This is where it starts to get a little more difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Don McEwen.
Don McEwen, no. Retired too long ago, I think. There.
Is Jill Officer on the list?
Jill Officer, also not on the list. Those are two strikes right there, Scotty.
That is really bad. Okay, let's take some time and focus.
Yeah, refocus here.
Focus up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is from 1980 till now.
Correct.
Okay. Mark Kennedy.
Mark Kennedy, no, not on the list.
What?
So that is your third strike. Scott, I don't know why you keep doing this. Colleen Jones. Colleen Jones is fifth on the list, 227 games. Sixth place is Brent Lang, 197. Ben Hebert, 193. Seventh place, EJ Harnden is eighth at 182. Kim Kelly, 181. And then Ryan Harnden, 179. So
Sean,
that is the top 10.
That was I was going that way with Kennedy, and then I was going to go to Lang, and I was like, sure, Kennedy was on, right. But I guess that 1 year off.
Take time off,
that he did. Yeah. Hurting. So 4
and
they missed.
They missed a Brier with the Olympics too in the
that's
prime.
True.
Right?
That's true.
So, that's 20 games right there, at least.
Yep.
So,
okay.
All right. So Scott, I mentioned the shots list. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the games played, it's Gushu, Nichols, Jennifer Jones, Glenn Howard, Colleen Jones, Brent Lang, Ben Hebert, EJ Harnden, Kim Kelly, Ryan Harnden.
Yeah.
There is one player who is on the top 10 lists for the most shots thrown, Brier Scotties, who is not on the top 10 games played. Can you name that player?
There's one player from the list of people you just said who's not on the top 10.
So one of those players won't be on the top 10 shots. Yeah, let's start there. Can you name the player who would not be in the top 10 on shots from that list of 10 who've played the most games?
EJ Harnden.
Close. It's Ryan Harnden.
Okay.
So who's in 10th place at 179 games. So Scott, that is the 10th place position.
Yeah.
Who, Scott, would be in the 10th? It is the 10th position on the shots thrown. So who do you think this player is who has the 10th place on shots thrown?
I think it's a lead. Am I right about that or no?
You are incorrect about that.
Okay. Shots thrown. Well, this is bad podcasting. So can you give me a position?
Longtime second.
Longtime second. Okay.
Has played other positions at the event in question.
Yes. Is it Adam Casey?
It's not. That's actually a good guess, though. It is not. Scott, again, you keep forgetting about the wonderful Colleen Jones team. It is Marianne Arsenault. Has that at 3,330 total shots.
Wow.
So I found it interesting to actually compare the games list versus the shots list, because so you have Gushu, Nichols, Jennifer Jones are the first three, the same in that order. But Glenn Howard was fourth in games. He's fifth in shots. Colleen Jones was fifth in games, fourth in shots. So Glenn Howard blew people out more than Colleen Jones did, is what that says, which explains why Marianne Arsenault is on this list at 10, playing longer games. Same thing, Kim Kelly, ninth in games. She jumps over Ben Hebert and EJ Harnden on the shots list.
Right. They're playing
longer
closer
games. Yeah, closer games. All right, so Scott, here's the list for shots, and this is second to last question here. So you did pretty well in the top 10 list, I got to say.
Thanks.
13 out of 15 possible points. I got 3 questions sort of based on the shots list here. So this is sort of our third period here. And then I have a bonus round.
All right.
Yeah.
Overtime.
Yeah. All right, Scott, on the shots list. So here's the list, 1 through 10. I'll give you the full list.
Okay.
Brad Gushu is number 1, 4,773 shots. That's a lot.
Oof.
And then Mark Nichols is 2, Jennifer Jones, Colleen Jones, Glenn Howard, Brent Lang, Kim Kelly, Ben Hebert, EJ Harnden, and Marianne Arsenault.
Okay.
So I said Brad Gushu, 4,773 total shots.
Yes.
Marianne Arsenault has thrown 1,400 and a bit fewer shots, 3,330.
Okay.
Scott, out of those 10 players, who do you think has the highest proportion of, or the biggest difference in their outturn to in-turn ratio?
Ben Hebert.
Ben Hebert is correct. Do you want to take a guess at what the proportion is?
I want to say he's like 80% outturns.
That's close. 77% outturns. You are correct on that. Yes. Out of Ben Hebert's 3,473 shots, 2,690 of them have been outturns.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. All right, Scott, who do you think out of those 10 players has the biggest difference take out to draw?
The biggest difference take out to draw? EJ Harnden.
Okay, I guess I shouldn't say draw. I should say not take out.
So, Marianne Arsenault.
No, it's Ben Hebert again.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I was thinking the most takeouts.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. No, I was thinking the biggest difference between takeout and non-takeout, just in percentage wise. It's Ben Hebert at. Do you want to take a guess at what his takeout percentage is? And not in like make percentage, just the actual number called.
Like 8%.
It's 12. 12% for Ben Hebert. Of his 3,473 shots, 410 of them have been takeouts. All right, Scott, but I like that. Out of the other 9 players, who throws the highest percentage of takeouts?
Like Marianne Arsenault played second for so long, and they played a very defensive style. I'm kind of leaning that way, or I could see Brent Lang being it. Let's go with Arsenault.
Good guess. No, she's in the mid 50s. It is actually who you said before. It's EJ Harnden.
EJ Harnden. Okay.
61% of his shots are takeouts.
Okay, so I was on the right track. Okay.
Yeah. So pretty good. So you get out of those 3, I give you 2. Because the wording for the second one was bad. But,
yeah.
So I'll give you that there. And then finally, Scott, there is one player on this list who is within 2 percentage points on takeouts and not takeouts, within 50-50, and within 2 percentage points of in-turn out-turn ratio. So basically throwing essentially in their whole career a pretty even mix, in-turn, out-turn, takeout, non-takeout. Who is that player?
Glenn Howard.
Ooh, good guess. But no, Glenn Howard, surprisingly to me, 61% of his shots were takeouts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess playing third in the late 80s, early 90s makes sense.
Yeah. So it's actually a player who you mentioned. It's Brent Lang. 52% takeouts, 51% outturns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real versatile player, that Brent Lang.
Yeah. Somewhat curiously, Scott, here, I noticed it. There's only one player on this list who's under 50% outturns, and that's Jennifer Jones. So the preponderance of play at Briers and Scotties is on the outturn side.
I think it's the preference of these players, right? That they like the outturn a lot more. And I've noticed that, in watching that the outturn is far more prominent. But with Jennifer Jones, her outturn is the one that gives her trouble sometimes, throwing those outturn hits. She has a tendency to sometimes float them a bit. Makes sense. It all adds up.
It all adds up. All right. So, Scott, you got 2 out of a possible 4 points there. And now let's go with the final question. Scott, I will allow you to pick out of 5 the number of points you want to wager. So you'll lose this if you get it wrong, and you get it if you'll get it right.
Can I get the category or no?
It's related to games played.
Okay, related to games played. Well, Sean, no sense in betting 0 because that's not fun. So let's bet 5. What do I have total?
So you got 13, 50. You got 18 out of a possible. That's 24, 28. 28.
Okay. Let's bet 5 points.
All right. So you're betting 5 points on this question. All right, Scott. As I said, this counts for the Brier from 1980, the Scotties from 1982. Within 250, how many total games have there been in Brier and Scotties history?
Holy cow, that's something.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if I go back to the original format was round robin, maybe a final with 12 teams. So you've had 11 or 12 games. The 3-team playoff was, so let's say that's for like 6 years. The 3-team playoff, I think, started in the late 80s. Maybe I'm wrong and it's earlier than that, but that would add extra games. Oh, it's not 11.
That's per team if you're looking at 11
games. Yeah. So I'm going like 11 times 12.
Well, you think of how many draws there are, and then
multiply that by 4.
That's probably a way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm thinking there's 11 draws times 4, I get 6 years of 44 games. After that, we get a semifinal and a final. So we get 2 extra games on top of the 11. So we get 44, but then just 2, so 46.
Sure.
And let's say they did that for 6 years, and then they've had a page playoff, and this was sort of the golden era.
Yeah.
Let's say that they had 20 years of page playoff where you had 11 games per team. There was 18 draws.
I don't know. I just have the total number here. You're looking at me as if
I'm
done the math myself.
I just
looked. I just have the total number. I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm giving you a 250 range here from the number, so 500 range total. because you can go 250 over, 250 under. So it's a range of
okay.
500. I'm giving you a pretty good range, I think.
Okay. Let me go 60, 66, 20 years times 18 draws. That's like 400 and 360. Plus 60 plus 60. This is giving me 480 plus. Let's do another 300. Let's say 750 games. That's just for one event.
For one event. One Scotties has 750 games?
No. For over the course of the Scotties.
This course of the... Okay.
Let's say there's been 750. That might be lowballing it, given that Brad Gushu has played in 257
games, yeah.
Okay, let's bump it up to 900. We'll go...
So your position as Brad Gushu has played in a third
a quarter
of all Brier games.
Give me 1,600 as the total with a plus or minus 250.
Okay,
and
you're not even close on this.
Not even close.
Not even close. The
less,
way more.
Okay.
So the Brier 3,228 games. Scotties 3,062 for a total of 6,290 games.
I was just an order of magnitude off, Sean.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So there was like some multiplication where I was oh yeah, here it is.
Okay. Because if you say, so if there's 18, so say 20 draws at 4 games each, which it's not, but you roughly say that's 80 games. Right, so it's 160 games a year, and it's been going on for 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, my magician was not good. I hope that was fun for people to listen to and scream and saying, "What are you thinking?
What are you doing?" Yeah. So that gives you a minus 5 points. So Scott, your total on this game is 13 out of 33.
Well, Sean,
you want to do the math on what the percentage of that is?
it's a big old F. 30 something percent. So not bad.
There you go. So let us know if you beat Scott. If you didn't beat Scott, well, I hope you beat Scott. So let us know if you did. I hope you enjoyed that game. Just a little trivia, middle of the summer. Always fun to sort of pull these out and go through some random stats and see what's going on. So if you like that and you like everything else we got going on, please do subscribe if you have not yet. Wherever you get your podcast, likes, rates, comments, all that stuff helps us out, grows the show. Head on over to GameOfStonesPod.com. Past episodes are there, plus a link to the merch. You can follow along with everything we got going on socials at Game of Stones Pod, Game of Stones Podcast on Facebook. Let us know what you want to hear on the show, Game of Stones Podcast at gmail.com. Scott, this is that fun period between Canada Day and the 4th of July. So we hope everybody had a wonderful Canada Day here where we are in Canada, and that our friends south of the border are looking forward to a wonderful and happy 4th of July. What do you like about these national days? What's a highlight for you?
From my house, I can see the fireworks, so that's kind of cool.
That's true.
I like getting a day off of work to play baseball or watch baseball, or I really just like the baseball. There's a lot of baseball. Daytime baseball, that's really fun. I don't like going to daytime baseball, but I like watching it on TV.
Sure, it is nice, especially on a work day, right? You can put it on as background noise, look up when the crowd makes noise. It's great.
Yeah, sometimes I do. I just put it on the radio.
Yep.
Like baseball on the radio is the best on the radio.
Ain't nothing like it.
Ain't nothing like that.
Yeah.
And
so hopefully all you are enjoying your holidays out there, and if you're joining us from Europe, thank you, and hope you're having a wonderful first week of July over there, and everywhere else in the world as well. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your summer or winter if you're joining us from the Southern Hemisphere. So thanks everybody for listening. We always do appreciate it. We'll be back with you throughout the summer for more curling talk. But until we speak to you again, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.
Make the final.